Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, all right, so we're officially back from New York. We landed 45 minutes ago. We came straight to the studio, got the notes. We're going live. We ate something small. We're about to make an announcement we've never done before, and that is something for you to be able to come join us on the podcast. One of you will come join us on the podcast. By the way, last week when we talked about the sweepstake of somebody going to the Yankees-Dodgers game with us, he was there yesterday. We have his video, the story. It's the wildest story of how he ended up there. Seriously, absolutely insane. And then later on, when we're about to go down the elevator, we run to another fellow. The people at Yankees, they treated us royally, except for, the three errors and the catchers.
Whatever.
And who's counting that ball?
The fans are good. The players were off.
Yeah, it was a weird story. Anyways, today's a 500 episode. Stories to go through. Apparently, some of you that are watching this podcast, you're garbage. I didn't say that. Apparently,
trash.
Not just a regular guy saying it, not a comedian saying it, not a pundit saying it. The current president calling half of America garbage, which I don't know how that sits with you, but, Karine Jean-Pierre had some thoughts on it. You have Josh Shapiro had some thoughts on it. You have Trump that actually wanted to know what it would be like to go do the job, and he didn't want to take his vest off. It's a great story. We'll get into that. Whoopi Goldberg said some stuff about deplorables on what Hillary said, and she said she was probably right when she said that. J.D. Vance is on Rogan. They shot it yesterday, I think 4 hours. J.D. had the best line. He said, I've done more interviews in my one podcast with Rogan than Kamala's done, everybody combined. It's a pretty good line right there. Actress Justine Bateman says Gavin Newsom is the worst governor we've ever had in California. Jimmy Kimmel's 19-minute anti-Trump rant backfires with viewers. Russia fines Google $2.5 decillion? I don't even know how to pronounce that word, Rob. How many zeros is that? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 30. Literally 35 zeros after 2.5 is how much Russia sued Google. We'll talk about that. Truth Social, apparently, according to this article, the market cap to Truth Social is officially higher than X. It's pretty wild. Adam lost his mind when he heard about the story on the plane. He almost literally lost it when he heard it. Gas prices dropping across the United States. National average likely to fall below $3. More Americans living paycheck to paycheck than 5 years ago. Bank of America data shows Elon Musk buys Texas compound for his children. Their mothers report. Not their mothers report, for his children and their mothers. That's the report. Chinese EV maker BYD beats Tesla in quarterly revenue for the first time as net profits jumps. More stuff with Diddy, man. Diddy had dirt on half of Hollywood. Panicky celebrities are praying he keeps his mouth shut. Imagine the amount of power Diddy has with all those stories. And then, do you keep waking up at 3 a.m.? If you do, Guru reveals how to beat that issue. So stick around for that. And ex-Google CEO Schmidt urges U.S. Army to replace tanks with drones. And then last but not least, Pentagon chief reveals photo of large UFO mothership near U.S. Embassy. I got a couple clips I'm going to want to show you, one from CNN and a few other things that's taking place. A comment that Mark Cuban made about Trump not having strong women around. I actually really want to get the commentary of the guys here and what many people will say, but there's 2 CTAs for today, guys, that I'm going to give you. One, this is the official last one we'll do from this series. You asked for a blue one, navy blue, USA hat is here. However, this hat that we have here is numbered. This is numbered out of 250. There's only 250 to these guys. And one of you guys that gets number 47, only 47 will have the number 2024 here because 47, 2024, President 47, one of you will get it. These limited edition hats will go. They're the numbered ones. Anytime we have numbered, they go in 30 minutes. The other day, we sent an email to our insiders who are with us at Big David Consulting, saying we have 5 Yankees tickets. Within 30 minutes, 9 were picked up, and the level of everyone's calling saying, can I get one? It's too late. We already sold out. We're moving on. However, these hats, especially those of you guys that may be coming this Tuesday night with us, or for you the rest of the year to represent the USA Future Looks Bright hats, the limited edition ones, go to vtmerch.com, place an order, maybe one for you, one for your spouse, one for your co-worker, one for your best friends, and a great Christmas gift for anyone you know that loves America. Go place this order. Having said that, let's get right into it. News Nation, Chris Cuomo had a town hall. On that town hall, they have Mark Cuban, they had Stephen A. Smith, they had Bill O'Reilly, Dana White tuned in, Zoom. They had a bunch of different guys. And one of the comments Mark Cuban made, and I want to get right into it, Mark Cuban on that, Rob, I don't know if Vinny sent it to you or not. If you haven't sent it to him, if you can text it to him. Mark Cuban, I believe, makes a comment about the fact that Trump doesn't have any strong women around him. What do you mean? He says, if you notice, Trump doesn't have any strong women. So many people reacted to it to the point where The View came out. And you know what? That's the one, Rob. You know what The View said? The View came out and said, how about Stormy Daniels?
Yeah.
She's strong. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
I believe so.
Okay, so maybe he was on The View, then he went on the News Nation one. But Rob, he's on The View saying to women that Trump doesn't have any strong women around him. Go and play this clip.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll put her over the edge with Nikki Haley supporters.
Can you go back, please? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll put her over the edge with Nikki Haley supporters. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, you know, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work.
I think Stormy is intelligent. I don't think that's 100%. She's very smart. Yeah, Stormy.
He means is like,
Yeah.
he means on stage.
Yeah,
and stuff
power
with
over.
her.
Well,
Stormy smart.
Your thoughts, Tom?
Well, I think Mark Cuban needs to think before opening his mouth because he's being so spontaneous with stuff. I really think he's not thinking it over. He's not a dumb guy. But Kellyanne Conway on staff, that's a pretty strong woman. Tulsi Gabbard, who's been with the campaign for weeks now, campaigning with him, that's a pretty strong woman. I don't know what Mark was trying to accomplish with this comment. Maybe he's trying to audition to put on the Rachel Maddow glasses and maybe be the permanent host of The View. But I just find this to be, I mean, what's points he's trying to make? 1 week, Mark says things like, and Mark, if you're watching, I got a lot of respect for you as an NBA owner and the stuff you've accomplished in business. But 1 week you're saying, oh, let's talk about policies. Let's not just do this and this. And the next week, you're making comments like this that are completely away from policy at a time where you're insulting half of the voting bloc, and you're getting into things like you got to pay attention to the people that are around Trump. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, and I think you're being spontaneous. I don't think you're really engaged on that because we could make a list of people that have been advisors and on cabinet positions and things like that.
I can just think of one that's been around our world with Trump, and that's Alina Habba, his attorney, who's been around us, and she is strong, capable, classy, all the above. So I think
if I'm up a creek, Alina's my first call,
she's
man.
Awesome.
She's a tough
Siggy
attorney.
Flicker, who was there, the Real Housewife that threw the event we were at. But I think it's a little rich for Mark, who I think dealt with a lot of issues within the Dallas Mavericks, some Me Too movement stuff going on there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but
a general manager censured by the NBA. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So he who has not sinned, may they cast the first stone.
Can you pull
Or
up
if you
that
live in a
story?
glass house.
So here's Mark Cuban donating $10 million to charity after NBA found workplace misconduct 6 years ago. Go ahead and go down, Rob.
Well, that makes it go away.
NBA has reported complete investigation in Dallas Mavericks on allegations of hostile work environment, sexual harassment, domestic violence. Mark Cuban will donate $10 million to organizations that promote women in leadership roles and combat domestic violence after the NBA found serious workplace conduct by former and current employees and improper influence. Okay, great. No problem. By the way, can you do me a favor, Rob, and go to the Guardian article that talks about for 75% of the time, the Dallas Mavericks have been the whitest team in the NBA. If you go Mavs whitest team in the NBA. And remember, this is a Democrat. So it's not like he's a Republican and they're going after him.
Yeah.
No, I went and interviewed him. He only had pictures of Clinton's on the wall. And I think he had pictures of 2 Democratic presidents on the wall. He didn't have pictures of anybody else. The Dallas Mavericks are consistently white in a black league. Why? Go a little low, Rob. Okay. In 2020, the NBA was 74.2% black and 16.9% white. It seems every decade, the white NBA players become less relevant. Yet one franchise has often kept the dream of mediocre white guys alive, the Dallas Mavericks. In 15 of the last 21 seasons, there were 3 or more white players in the 12-man roster. In more than half of those 15 seasons, there were at least 4 white players, not to mention at least 2 starting white players. Now, here's the thing. Why am I showing this? While he's going through these stories that they pop up, okay, while they're going through the Black Lives Matter, although the Mavericks have a dubious history of toxic workplace culture when it comes to female employees, Cuban has thrown his support behind who? Black Lives Matter, and has appointed who? Black CEO Cynthia Marshall, President Turdima Ussery, head coaches Jason Kidd, Avery Johnson, General Manager Nico Harrison during his lifetime in Dallas. Right now, the CEO of Dallas Mavericks, Rob, if you can Google it, I believe it's Cynthia Marshall if he hasn't replaced them yet. So why am I showing this? I'm showing this because he was forced to make these hires. After all, the NBA realized for 15 out of 20 seasons, he had the whitest team. So the guy that says he's for blacks, in a league that's 70+% black, in a league that he is the whitest team owner for 20+ years almost, and then gives $10 million because he's worried, then he goes hire somebody out of fear, a black president, female, just to pander to his audience. Mark, there are certain topics you don't have a lot of credibility to speak on. This is one of them. Speak on things you have credibility on. This is how much credibility you have on this topic. And when you talk about stuff like that, your history comes up and we have to talk about it. Vinny.
Eloquently put, Pat. I'll say the least. Because, like, here's my thing. In Hollywood, when stand up and acting, and when you get a publicist, they put you out there, Tom. They put you on red carpet events. They put you where the camera's going to be, where you're out there, and people are taking photos. What is Mark Cuban's goal? What publicity coming in this late and being everywhere? He's everywhere he wants to talk. Just doing the sticking up for Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris as the savior routine. I don't see that. The only thing I would see is what? Trying to get people from the Democratic Party in 2028 to kind of like him. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And this is what this party is about, okay? 3 days ago, Tim Walz called half of America Nazis, okay? Joe Biden the other day called us all garbage. And then this is the attitude. No strong women around him. What about his ex? What about Ivana? What about Ivanka? What about, you mentioned Kelly Canway, right? What about Kylie McEnany? What about Sarah Huckabee Sanders? This is just, he just needs to stop. Like, nothing that he's saying is making sense. And I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It was, hey, no attention is on me. All the billionaires are getting attention, but not me. So I'm going to say the most outlandish shit ever. And I think I'm happy that you put that up there. What? Because you're accused of sexually harassing and being like aggressive towards women. So you give $10 million to teach other people to learn how to be cool around women. It's ridiculous.
What happens to Mark next? When you take a stance like this, you have to live with the consequence. If you back up somebody, you do whatever. It's like in the NFL, there were people that backed up Ray Rice, and they were very, very upset. And then they were embarrassed, and they even backed it up when the film came out in the elevator. Mm-hmm. And they had to say, you know what? I believe Ray, but you can't do that, Ray. And these are people that backed him up. They got embarrassed, and they had to properly tell ESPN, he's my friend. I believed him. I was supporting him. But that film is irrefutable. Where does Mark go after all this? It feels like... I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's almost like, why is he doing this? Is he kind of being pushed to be like this super proxy, super supporter? And what does he do after it's done? Does he not know that 50% of as Michael Jordan said, Republicans buy sneakers too? I mean, he owns the Mavericks. He's got things going on. And although he sold some, made a lot of money, he still is the principal owner. He made sure of that in the transaction. So where do you go now? It's like he's impacting his own, reputation here. And, it's kind of shocking to see, because he's not a dumb guy. He knows what she's standing for. I want to know what gun is to his head, or what has got him so revved up that he thinks it's time to go out. We
already know about that. All I'm saying is, in a situation like this, where You're talking shit, you're talking shit, you're talking shit, you're talking shit, you're talking shit. Then you say something like this. Do you know what this does? You know what this does? Here's what it does, Mark. Now Trump's going to go on stage, and he's going to look at all the women that are around him, and he's going to say, you just called this person not strong, that person not strong, this person not strong, that person not strong. You just insulted every single woman who supports him. I mean, this may be as worse as President calling people supporting Trump garbage. It may be that close. A comedian says Puerto Rico, that's a comedian. The president says garbage, but Mark Cuban says he doesn't have any strong women. If I was part of the marketing campaign behind closers, I'd sit there and say, guys, are you kidding me? Rally behind this whole thing. They don't respect you. Anyways, by the way, as if that wasn't enough, this is the current, this is our president, your president, if you live in America legally. And for some of you that live in America illegally, he's still your president. Here's what he just had to say about half of America. Go ahead, Rob.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Thoughts on this, Tom, when you hear him calling folks garbage?
Well, this really disappointed me on a lot of levels because you don't, as a president of the United States, there's a line of dignity. You are the president of everyone, of we the people. And to have the president make a comment like this crosses the line of the personal attacks back and forth against your opponent in the political arena. Now you're stepping over to call 53% of the people you govern, if the polls are correct, maybe higher, garbage. This is an embarrassment to the office of the presidency. You can't do that. This is beyond the pale of even the smeared, ugly rules of political engagement during an election.
And but Pat, not surprised at all. And I just mentioned it a little bit earlier, Tom. This is how they feel about us. Plain and simple. It started with Hillary with her ignorant ass, we're deplorables comment. He thinks that we're garbage. Mark Cuban thinks all these women around Trump are weak and stupid. And it's like, enough is enough. It's like, how much of this crap are we going to take that they keep talking the shit about us? And by the way, you think Biden is just holding up on that? Everything is coming. All of his true colors are showing up. What happened yesterday, PBD? He's putting infants' toes and like no, I'm not trying to be funny. He shoved them a stranger's kids, and they're offering his kids to him in his mouth 3 times. He's biting another kid's.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, how? Explain to me how this is normal. Go ahead. I don't care if he's the president. Like, what is he doing? 2, he's deep. Listen, let me. Bro, that. It's almost as if his handlers are like, you know what? The election is in a couple days. Just let him do whatever he wants to do because that's who he is, PBD. And going back to the garbage, this is what they think of us. They actually think that we're stupid. They think we're trash. They think we're deplorables. And it's enough is enough. That whole rhetoric, Nazis, we're following Hitler. Like, enough is. When are we going to say, guys?
Rob? What's this?
This is Whoopi Goldberg on The View, where she says that Hillary Clinton was right, that Trump supporters are deplorable. This is in response to the garbage comment.
Play the clip.
Double down.
There is a completely unfair standard with Donald Trump. I'm saying there's an unfair standard where his supporters have just decided it's baked in when he insults people, but they do take offense. Deplorables did matter. That comment from Hillary Clinton did matter. But I would say that Joe Biden is still the president.
Wow.
I'd like him to be working on getting the hostages back. He does not.
Wow. There you go. By the way, how did Karine Jean-Pierre handle this? And I'll come to you. What did she say? I'm curious to know how she maneuvered around this. Go ahead.
Just address the president's comments yesterday, referring to Trump supporter as garbage.
A couple of things. So just to clarify, he was not calling Trump supporters garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Which is why he this is why he wanted to make sure that we put out a statement that clarified what he meant and what he was trying to say.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And so just want to make that very clear for folks who are watching. And I just want to read that out to folks. So he was regarding to the comedian, and I quote, "I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at the rally don't reflect who we are as a nation."
Really?
And to your question, your other question that you asked, no, he does not view Trump supporters or anybody who supports Trump as garbage. That is not what he
The candidate that Kamala
views.
should have chosen as a VP, Josh Shapiro. What does Josh Shapiro say about this, Rob? Do you have the clip of what Josh Shapiro said about this? While he's finding it, Adam, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, well, we hear so much talk about what's going to be the October surprise this time around. And we're how many days away from an election? 5 days. And they were getting close to, quote unquote, having an October surprise. They did the Madison Square Garden, quote unquote, Nazi rally where we just happened to be thousands of blacks, Jews, Latinos, women. It's just almost farcical. And then this Tony Hinchcliffe guy, who we know very well, comes on stage. A comedian makes a joke, fell flat, all good. It's not like Trump said it or even that Trump believes it. And just when you're thinking maybe this Puerto Rican floating garbage thing turns out to be an October surprise, there's Joe Biden, who they've been sort of hiding. He comes out and literally calls Trump supporters garbage. Clip that. And it just has backfired dramatically. And here's someone like Josh Shapiro, who is a governor of a very purple state that can be flipped either way, that has to govern the entire state. I'm assuming I haven't seen this. I'm assuming he says,
yes.
I'm assuming he says something to the effect of,
what he says, Adam.
I can't really condone this comment.
Purple is right,
assumption.
man.
Go ahead.
Purple is right.
Rob, we can't hear it.
Right now, I want you to listen to something that is making the rounds right now, certainly by the Trump campaign, by Senator J.D. Vance and others, what President Biden had to say about this tonight.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Yeah.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
I want you to listen
That's why he was the best candidate for the left. If there was a primary, he and Newsom would have been left the two at the end to compete as the nominee, and he would be formidable. And they screwed up. Tom.
And I'll give you my quick read here. This is CNN producer in Caitlin's ear telling her to ask the question, and they are giving Shapiro the opportunity to look good. And you know what's going on here? That, my friend, is one of CNN's first moves for 2028. There's no support for Biden. They brought up and actually ran the story. A year ago, they would have been ignoring the story of Biden. They would have given him a free pass. They wouldn't even covered it. Earlier this year, when they're getting ready to make the shift for Kamala, they would have lightly touched on it to support the shift. I believe this is, you are seeing here with this and other things on CNN, they are making Shapiro look good. And there's little opportunities that are happening here because they need a draft pick for 2028. And everybody in that campaign knows
I like them.
That the fear that
I
they
actually
had,
like them.
Remember, it was Hamas, Israel fear in the into intricacies of the positioning where they said, Hamas, Israel, too hot. Which way are we going? It doesn't matter. You can't go with Shapiro.
Yeah.
That was a
And
mistake.
they went with Waltz. But it's like Bill Maher says all the time, you can hate on Trump, but you can't hate his supporters because there's 80 million plus of them, and they're
called
going to
neighbors.
backfire on you.
And that's why we keep talking about who is the DNC's chief strategist and political, whatever they're doing with Kamala and all this. They're horrible because you nailed it. If they went with the Gavin and the Shapiro, that would be something. That'd be an election that I'd be fearful, like, oh crap. Gavin Newsom and Tom, honestly, Gavin Newsom and him, PBD against Trump and J.D. Vance, that's a battle. That's a fight. You know what I mean? Right now, we're noticing Kamala's. It's over.
Trump's camp would have said no. We'd still beat him. That's what the position would be, because JD's really come up. I think JD is way better than Josh. I just think Josh is better than everybody else they got on the other side. That includes Newsom. Rob, so while this is going on, the president, who's one of the greatest marketers of all time, what does he do? Here's what he does. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
It's funny.
By the way, he's doing this. Then he goes and does this. Go ahead, Rob. By the way, can you pause it, Rob? It's 5 minutes. We're not going to play it. At the end, he says, they were telling me, well, first play the first 30 seconds, and we'll go to the last 30 seconds. Go ahead, Rob.
When he called us all garbage. How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think? Of course, I thought irredeemable when she said deplorable or irredeemable. I thought irredeemable was actually worse, but deplorable seemed to catch up. But this garbage stuff blows it away. So I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself. Have a wonderful suit on.
It's hilarious.
And one of my people came in and said, sir, you know, the word garbage is the hottest thing right now out there. The hottest thing out there. Sir, would you like to drive a garbage truck?
I love that smile.
Now, we're about, 30 minutes from landing. We had to do this pretty quick. I said, it's sort of cool, though, isn't it? Because, and I said, I think that's okay, but, I don't feel comfortable wearing a suit. And they pulled up this garbage truck. I don't know how the hell they did it so fast. I have very capable people. They put a big sign on the truck. Did you see?
By the way, go to the last 30 seconds, Rob.
He's surprised
go
at
to
his
the last
own
30
campaign.
seconds. Okay, watch this. Watch this. This is why he wore it.
I may never wear a blue
No. Go back
jacket.
15 seconds prior to that, because he's going to keep going back. Okay, right there. Watch what happens. Here's why he wore it. Go ahead. One compliment. He's just being so straight up and authentic if you can pull it off. Oh, man, you have to hear it. It's so funny.
So this outfit,
last 45
is,
right there. Go right there. Good. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
People standing outside. I got all these people here. There's no way I'm wearing it on stage. They said, oh, okay, sir. I said, get me my jacket. But if you did, it actually makes you look
skinny.
thinner. And they got me. I said, I want to wear it on stage.
Oh, my God.
When they said I look thinner.
See, these are the moments.
He's
so funny. It does make him less orange, too.
By the way, getting back to the other thing, isn't it interesting how our press secretary has become almost like a paid lobbyist? And it's like KGP is now the liar in chief. So,
she is.
And now, but her expiration date is coming. Go get your book deal, sweetie. And go work for a liberal media outlet, because that's the career path here. So she's not going to be going away. We're gonna see her. We can turn the channel, but that's where it's gonna go. And it's just the weakness. You don't even send the president to the microphone to re-pull his comments and to say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. I should have backed off.
Rob, do you have
There's
the
no
Frank
humility
Luntz clip?
there.
And this is why
instead KJP lies for him.
This is why Trump is such a great marketer, because he knows his base. One of the terms that they used for Trump was that he's the blue collar billionaire. It's like, what does that mean? We watched that movie, The Man You Don't Know, right? And they talked about how when he started in real estate, he wasn't just given hotels, he wasn't just given buildings, he had to actually go down there and build them. And he was meeting with the construction workers, meeting with the developers, working with the plumbers, working with these guys hands-on. And to speak overall about politics, there's been a major shift really since Obama and Trump took over. The Republican base now, think about it, is really blue-collar rural workers. And the Democrats are sort of college-educated women of color. Whereas 20 years ago plus, the Democrats were the unions. We've seen what's happened where the unions are basically not coming out supporting candidates anymore. This is a major shift. And Trump is kind of like, I'm going to go work at McDonald's today. All right, we're putting on a garbage truck. There was a funny meme that you showed at the World Series last night where there was Trump at McDonald's doing his little checkout thing at the drive-thru. and then taking out the garbage. And he goes, Biden's economy's so bad these days, the average guy has to have two jobs just to get ahead. It was really funny.
And I think we should call it college indoctrinated now rather than college
There you go.
educated.
He's the McDonald's handing out fries. He's the garbage man, but he's the blue collar billionaire. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, there's one thing you cannot take away from this guy. He's a marketing genius. Look at that guy. Even Van Jones, I said, was very complimentary of his marketing tactics. When you win over Van Jones, you're doing something right.
There you go. All right, so that's that taking place. Now, Frank Luntz said this could be the deciding factor.
My boy.
Like what just happened right now, this could be the reason that it could flip. Rob, go ahead and play this clip. I'm sure those two CNN hosts love what Frank has to say. Go ahead, Rob.
About Frank. Notably, they were done before President Biden made his comments, seemingly describing Trump supporters as, quote, garbage. The Harris campaign is trying to downplay the effect of those comments. Of course they are. But I wonder if you think that those comments are going to move voters.
It's going to be huge because this is not some comedian saying something stupid and offensive at a rally where he should have been basically disinvited. This is the president of the United States endorsing his vice president saying something. And I know that there's different interpretations about what he said. It's still inappropriate. You still shouldn't be doing it. And I've watched Trump already seize this. The basket of deplorables was significant, was meaningful in 2016. In 2024, I can promise you that this is going to drive Trump turnout. He's doing it already. I can see, I'm sure there's going to be ads on as soon as tonight about this. This may be a turning point for those final 3%, and that's all it is, who still need to be persuaded. And I'll offer you guys something. We're going to be talking to them over the next couple of days. If you want to do something on Monday, the day before, focusing on these last persuadables, I will tell you that Trump offends them. And they don't like him as a person. But Harris scares them because they don't know where she stands, and they feel that she hasn't been clear on some of the key issues, most notably immigration. Trump's got his weaknesses, Harris has her weaknesses, and they seem to be canceling each other out, which is why Harry's correct. This election is too close to call.
There you go. And this is not a guy that wants Trump. He's not a Trump guy.
Nope.
He went to CNN saying this. Tom, what's your reaction with Frank? Do you agree with them?
Well, yes, I do. I agree with Frank on that. Now, he does a lot of qualitative research on the opinions. And so he's claiming that in his research, so guys, you got to remember, he's talking about his research. He's saying that of the 3% undecided, Trump offends them. But for Kamala, she scares them. Which is worse, to be offended or to be scared? Somebody can offend you. You can be a person in a certain neighborhood and you're offended by the presence of the cops. But if those cops are defunded and they leave, your own neighborhood scares you. So when you look at scare is worse than offended. And so this will move some voters. But what's moving the voters far more is economic fear and immigration fear. There's a
Rob, what do you have here?
That's what's going on.
These are three great clips from CNN's Harry Enton.
Go ahead.
Where he talks about the writing on the wall for.
Is this new? This just came out.
Yes, this
Show
came
it
out
to us.
yesterday.
Let's see what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like.
Point. It tracks much more with when the incumbent party loses than with it wins. In fact, I went back through history. There isn't a single time in which 28% of the American public thinks the country is going on the right track, in which the incumbent party actually won. They always lose when just 28% of the country believes that the country is on the right track.
It is a hard. You are swimming upstream.
He needs a shirt.
Well, this was a
wow.
this was a.
What's this one, Rob?
This is another good clip.
Go for it.
Succeeded Harry S. Truman. So the bottom line is, for Kamala Harris to win, she'd have to break history, be a Democrat to succeed Joe Biden when Biden's approval rating is way underwater at this point.
Again, it could happen. It just doesn't in recent history for sure. Okay, registration numbers, Harry.
Yeah, Republicans.
You got another one or
more
no?
clip if you want. This is the amount.
I want to see all of them. Show me this one as well.
I love clips, Rob. Give it to us.
Yeah,
This shows voter
Republicans have been
excitement.
registering voters in big, huge numbers. They have been gaining in party registration versus the Democrats in the swing states with party registration. We're talking Arizona. I think it's a 5-point. They've expanded their lead from 5 points from where it was back in 2020. How about Nevada? Big Republican registrations there. They like the early vote. How about North Carolina? Big Republican registration gains. How about Pennsylvania? We spoke about it before a few months ago. Big Republican Party registration gains versus from where they were 4 years ago. So Republicans are putting more Republicans in the electorate. Wow. The Democratic number versus the Republican number has shrunk. And so the bottom line is, if Republicans win come next week, Donald Trump comes next week, the signs all along will have been obvious. We would look at the right direction being very low, Joe Biden's approval rating being very low, and Republicans really registering numbers. You can't say you weren't warned.
Again, this is the data which supports the idea of a Trump victory.
Do you
tomorrow,
agree?
Viewers.
I agree with all of this. We've been pouring over the same numbers. You can find it at vtnews.ai. We've got the United States up there. You can go, make your own picks and stuff. But what we're looking at is these same numbers, Pat. And we're seeing there's three things to think about here. One is voter excitement. Voter excitement. We're getting voter excitement on the registration.
Voters are excited?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell us.
Voters are very excited. They are excited about what's going on with in terms of getting out to register. That shows you how excited that the unregistered voter has been, number one. Number two, you can see that in the early voting, there's been more Republicans, registered people voting in these key states. That doesn't usually happen. The early voting is usually dominated by Democrats over the last 4 presidential campaigns. Now it's even or ahead for Republicans, and Republicans have long dominated live in-person turnout. And then the third thing is exactly what he's talking about, is those few funny stats, like if stock market's up or this is that and that. They talk about those stats that no president's ever won. Let me tell you, the ones that haven't won is the Democrats haven't won when you have the approval rating or people think the place is on the wrong track.
Let me tell you what we're doing for the first time. We want you to come join us on the podcast, either here or Zoom in 15, 20 minutes to give us your thoughts, except you have to get something right. Here's what it is. Number one, this is the contest. Go to vtnews.ai. When you go to vtnews.ai, Rob, if you can just go there. If you go to vtnews.ai, go to the election side to the right. Just think about picking, March Madness does what? Picking the brackets, right? You go in to vtnews.ai. You see zoom in right there, Rob, where you get to pick whatever the states are, red, blue, and with the numbers change on the top right, Rob, so they can see it. Go right there. You see how the numbers are changing? You pick your bracket. Whatever way you think it's going to end up being on election night, okay? Once you pick your numbers, you see right above it where it says upgrade to submit your prediction. You click on that. Go for it. You have to become a premium or a VT Insider, either one of them. Choose $4.99 a month or $19.99 a month. That's going to give you unlimited access to the AI. Whichever one you choose to do, we will receive your bracket prediction. Whoever is the first to do so, that wins. We're either going to invite you on a Zoom to be on a podcast with us after everything is done with, and you'll be here with the boys on PBD Podcast. Or if you choose to get your flight, come on down. You'll be with us. You're sitting right next to us, telling us how you came to the conclusion of your perfect bracket. But again, to compete, go to vtnews.ai. Go get one of these memberships. Choose your brackets, how you think it's going to end. And then once you do so, we'll have it. And by the way, if you're that confident enough, post it on Twitter under my handle so we can save it there as well. Anyways, Adam, I think you were going to say something about
I was going to just get
some of these things we're looking at.
Look, I think this was a massive, massive mistake by I'll just say Biden-Harris Walz campaign. Because if we talk about this concept of a October surprise, think about the last 3 election cycles. 2016, Hillary's emails with James Comey could have cost her the election, possibly did cost her the election. 2020, Hunter Biden, the laptop, what happened there? What happened? Possibly cost Trump the election. 2024, the October surprise is this Puerto Rico garbage thing. I mean, a non-issue compared to those 2 other things. But what's the famous quote? I think it's attributed to Napoleon, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. The Trump camp made a mistake having Tony Hinchcliffe come on stage and insult the Puerto Rican, shout out to my Boricuas out there, and then Biden goes, yeah, well, you know who's garbage? All Trump supporters. Whoa. So failed opportunity, made a mistake, interrupted the enemy while they're making a mistake. So Trump, being opportunistic, says, oh yeah, let me capitalize on this, throw on a little garbage man uniform, get my little truck, honk, honk, look at us now. And unless something massive comes out in the next, 3 to 5 days, this October surprise has felt exponentially flat.
And you know what someone could say, Tom? I think we have touched on this before. It's almost as if Biden, since he had to step down, aka whatever the coup you want to call it, is it just me, Tommy, or has he just been slowly just hurting the campaign, hurting Kamala, making comments? He went up in front of the White House press briefing for the first time. They all gasped. They're like, oh, he showed up while Kamala was speaking. And then he says his garbage comment. He's at that funeral where he's looking right at Obama, and he's like pissed off. He's like, I was stronger. What is that, Tom?
It says, you were talking about, it's almost like having a passive-aggressive ex-girlfriend. Yeah. That she still goes to the same college you do in classes, or you work at the same company or whatever, and you've got this passive-aggressive behavior, even though you both broke up and you said, okay, we're going to be cool with each other.
Exactly.
I don't want to say anything to your friends. You don't say high five. We just, no need for gunfire.
No, and I get it. And I think if you really, somebody could take that angle that he is purposely, yes, he's gone, and yeah, he's shoving kids' feet in his mouth, but I think there's still, the man that's still in there is upset that they screwed his ass over. So he's like, if I'm going down, I'm taking the whole ship with me. That's what he's doing.
I think you're kind of onto something. I don't think it's intentional whatsoever. I think he's obviously would love to be the person running. The reality is his numbers were atrocious after that despicable, horrible, deplorable debate performance against Trump. But have we seen a weaker incumbent? Meaning they don't want him around. Yeah. They're not putting him on the campaign trail. And even when he sort of speaks, it's like another foot in your mouth, to use that baby joke out there. And he's just, as a candidate, done less to help his VP or the next potential president try to win the White House. They're just basically like, Joe, you've got maybe like 5 more days of being the sitting president until Trump most likely wins. So
I'm pretty sure.
Just don't lose this for Kamala. He's like, I'll do my best.
But this, and listen to Frank Luntz, this thing, the garbage comment, is going to basically take them home. It's going to cross the finish line. I don't think it's on purpose. Because Adam, to me, it looked like while he was sitting there, Tom, he was reading something. If you looked at Biden's eyes, he wasn't just off the cuff. He's reading something.
Yeah, let me ask you, you're saying this because partly you also want this. Just like the left is saying Tony Hinchcliffe because the left wants it, right? Who's right? Which one actually carries more weight? You think there's a massive difference between this versus what Hinchcliffe said about Puerto Rico?
I think it's much bigger. We have a precedent here, and the precedent, Luntz pointed out that the deplorables comment coming from Hillary, who was an elected official there. She wasn't a comedian invited for the event. I think America knows, and some of them were really offended that they hired a comedian that said that. And I could see independents saying, man, I'm a little shocked here that this comedian they brought in said that. And I think, Pat, it is different. And I think it does make it different when the president says it. It made it different, apparently, looking back into polls that Frank Luntz and others have looked at. And everyone has long said that the deplorable comment made a difference in that election because of who it came from, not what was said.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the president cannot say it. Obviously, we're going to watch very closely to see what happens here. Today's what? Today is Thursday. You realize it's Halloween. 5 days left, right?
Holy
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. God willing, 5 days, we have a new president.
Wow.
Regardless, we have a new president. Regard me, we have a new president, right? Whether it's Kamala or Trump, we have a new president, and that's some serious stuff, folks. Anyways, all right, let's go to the next story here. I wonder what this is all about, Tom, and I'm coming straight up to you. Russia sues Google. Not sues, fines Google. Rob, I want you to show this to the audience with the number of zeros. You've never seen a bigger fine than this. Think about the ticket you got. I've had 21 speeding tickets. Biggest one, say $1,000, $2,000. Say you got sued. You have to pay $50,000, $100,000, $1 million. Russia sues. Go to the article, Rob. Just go to Independent. Russia sues, fines Google $2.5 decillion. That's $2.5 trillion is what Russia does.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, we're going to see if it does or not. Let me read it to you. a Russian court has fined Google an unprecedented $2.5 decillion for allegedly blocking pro-Kremlin YouTube content, a figure doubling weekly under Russia law since an initial 2020 fine of 100,000 rubles, following lawsuits from state-affiliated media outlets Sargrant and Riafan. Since March 2022, Google has restricted ad services in Russia, ceased creating new accounts, and deactivated AdSense accounts, prompting Russian authorities to seize Google's bank accounts, leading Google's Russian subsidiaries to file bankruptcy. Despite these actions, Google-free services like YouTube and Search remain accessible in Russia. Google acknowledged ongoing legal issues with Russia in its latest report, stating, "We do not believe those ongoing legal matters will have a material adverse effect." And Alphabet shares rose over 5% after beating third quarter earnings expectation. Tom, what's this story all about?
Okay. So never, never, never be late on your credit card payment in Russia. That's what this means. So in March 2022, Google's been restricting these services. But in 2020, they had a fine of 100,000 rubles. And Rob, I don't know how much that is in dollars. I think it can't be more than, $5,000 or something. So a basic court fines, Google in 2020, 100,000 rubles, except it will double every week. Now, that's a very significant late charge. Yeah. It will double every week. So this has been doubling every week since 2020. And 100,000 became 200,000, 400,000, 800,000, 1.6, 3.2, 6.4. And it gets carried away to the point that the fine now is more than all the money ever printed in the entire history of the world.
Wow.
Right? So that's what's happened. So, Vinny, if you do get an opportunity to buy that townhouse in the next year or something, don't get a mortgage from a Russian bank and be late on your mortgage.
Okay, so
because you could own them 3 times the amount of your house. It's just funny. This is what it's really all about.
Tom, is there any credibility in this?
No, what's happened is it's been doubling, and Google has been using their lawyers to say, "Hey, man, we want to appeal this. We want to talk about this." And they're like, "Okay, we can try and do that, but we're going to double it again, double it again, double it again." So they basically keep doubling the fine, and it's sitting there becoming this astronomical number. But Google needs to be concerned because the government is going to come down and say, "Hey, man, you do have to pay a fine here. Otherwise, we're not going to let you back in." So when Trump is elected, assuming he's elected, it's going to be, Google's going to be calling Trump saying, "Hey, we got to figure out this court thing." And Russia's going to be like, "Well, we want some money, man. You're paying $5 billion. How much was Apple's fine? Multi-billion dollars to the EU Commerce Group. Russia, I think, is going to do the same thing. I think Google's going to write a check here. Is it going to be 2.5 decillion or trillion? No, they don't have
Will it be $1 billion check?
I think it could be $1 billion check to get back into a very important market. I think this could be $1 billion check because they are basically saying you were censoring information in our country. Only we can do that. Not you can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the only ones who can.
So you actually think that Google is going to end up paying a fine here because who's the Google CEO? Sundar Pichai, right? So I think it's for every $1 US, it's 1,000 Russian rubles. But when they since March 2022, Google has restricted ad services in Russia. Well, what happened in March of 2022? That's when Russia invaded Ukraine. So there's been so many, tariffs put on Russia. Basically, here it is right here. February of 22, exactly. Russia invaded Ukraine, a major escalation of Russia-Ukrainian war started.
Economic sanctions.
Exactly. Economic sanctions out here. So I don't know why would Google end up paying even any money to Russia for all the sanctions that have put on Russia. Is this just...
No, that Russia says they broke one of their laws and they put a fine out in the middle of them trying to negotiate it. Then the war breaks out and this keeps doubling. So the doubling is sort of comical, but there still is an open action here, and Google has to sort it out to go back to doing business in Russia. And if you don't think they want to do business in Russia when the smoke clears and they want to earn ad revenue and do all that, you're crazy. They absolutely need markets.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see if Putin
So when it comes down to social media companies, Google, Facebook, any of these companies, if you're in a market like the same challenge that Musk is having with Brazil, or he's having, challenges with Venezuela, Maduro, 10 days, nobody has access to X.
Those are good examples.
What standard must you follow? What standard must you, the platform, follow? And who has more weight? Does the country get to say, you don't do this, we're shutting you down in our country? Can they do that?
Well, that's kind of what Brazil did.
Well,
and then Musk said, hey, in the name of free speech, I'm not going to be bullied into doing this or that. And there was a settlement. I don't think he came back off free speech, but there was a settlement there to get the market opened up.
But there's no free speech.
But here's the question. Who has more power, Tom? Google or the country?
Well, right now, Google has more power over people to influence the country from the outside, like our U.S. Department of Commerce, Secretary of State. But the people with power is the country. The country can turn it on and off.
So why does Russia want Google in Russia?
Because I would imagine that they are going to make money or tax on the Google commerce. Google isn't going to be able to go for free into Russia and collect billions of dollars of ad revenue.
But hear me out where I'm going with this. Stay with this conversation. And I'm not talking to you as if you work for Homeland Security and you have every single answer. I'm just openly talking to see what the motives are.
No, you're asking the right questions.
Yeah. Do you think Russia wants Google in Russia as a way to be able to speak to the American audience and the world audience to paint themselves as the innocent, good, caring about their country people? Do you think they need Google in a way to rebuild their brand to the world that they're not the villain?
100%.
Okay, so then that's great, because what that does is
governments will try to manipulate social, even as social is earning money off ads.
Well, by the way, that's their job. They're supposed to do that. And you can call it manipulation. The enemy will call it manipulation. Russia will call it persuasion, okay? The enemy will call it gaslighting. We can say whatever Hamas is doing, whatever Hezbollah is doing, whatever Venezuela is doing, whatever they're going to say our incentive is what we're doing, right?
Yeah, like
so there is
Russia will say it's Pravda,
right.
Our truth.
So all I'm saying is Russia needs Google. Russia needs Google.
Absolutely.
If Russia doesn't have access to Google, to YouTube, like we have a channel, Rob. If you go to YouTube, type in Vitamin Russian. Okay. If you go to Vitamin Russian, okay, type in Vitamin Russian, and if you go to it, right, go right there. How many subscribers does it have? 302,000. Go to one of our shorts. And go to the latest one. Go to popular. Go to popular. Let's see what you have. That's reaction. No. Go to the fifth one to the right. That one right there. Press it. Let's hear it.
Вчера мы встретились с Бэроном Трампом, интересным парнем, сыном Дональда Трампа. Рост Бэрона превышает 2 метра. Проводить нас до автомобиля предложил Райан Гарси.
So good. You can go back. But the point is, in this case, if Google says, fine, no problem. Russia comes back and says, no. What if Google plays hard? Can you find out how much AdSense, how much money does Google make from Russia? Like what percentage of their revenue comes from Russia? Let's see how big this number is. I'm actually curious now. What is the revenue Google gets? Alphabet, right? So you have to put Alphabet.
There it is. I found a chart.
Can we see it? Oh, it dropped dramatically in 2020.
Billion of Russian rubies.
How much?
Rubles.
Is that in billions?
But look, that's 2021 and then 2022.
Wow. So 134 billion
rubles.
And rubles is what?
1,000.
So 100,000 is
it's $1 billion. So it's $1 billion rubles. And 2021, it skyrocketed almost, 60%. Can you find out what the revenue of Google in Russia is in 2023? Revenue, Google, Russia, 2023. I'm not curious what this number is.
Oh.
Not Russia in 2020 because Google has stopped generating revenue in that country. Google. That's exactly where I was going with this.
Now, this they did because the U.S. government said their sanctions, they had to do it.
So let me read this. Terminating advertising sales, withdrawing internship offers, restricting Google pay for sanction, removing over 7,000 YouTube channels. Refusing GMS license domestic manufacturers, massively blocking services for Russian companies. And I'm assuming this happening, right? Okay, so that makes it. Google's local subsidiary in Russia was declared bankruptcy in 2020. Wow. Google also has fined 2 decillion rubles, which is probably 2.5 decillion, for refusing to restore accounts of several. So that's Google has been able to fine them. Pro-Kremlin Run Media. The fine is larger than estimated total GDP. Google is unlike, Google has been fined. This is the one they're talking about. Got it. And very, very interesting. So obviously this has to do with Ukraine and Russia. And U.S. took a Ukraine position, so no one is surprised with this.
Of course. And they took down RT News, everything that was apps, just because, I would like to watch. I watch CNN, I watch Fox. They took down RT News right when all that started happening. And then Pat, 1 billion rubles is 10,300,000 American dollars.
Well, Pat, just a thought. Tell me if I'm off base here. What's the total market cap of Google Alphabet?
$1.5 trillion.
I think it's like $2 trillion, if you want to just fact check that. So now, I don't even know if Russia has a top 10 GDP in the world, but I'm willing to bet that their market cap, Google's, what is it? Market cap? 2.12 trillion. What do you think is more, Russia's GDP or Google? I'm willing to bet that Russia's GDP is actually under Google. I'm thinking they're 1.8, 1.9 GDP, maybe 2 trillion. What are they?
2.18, it's a little bit more.
No, it's exactly the same.
No, it's the 2.1.
Okay, so Google is the equivalent of an entire country of Russia. So when we hear things like California has a top 5 GDP in the world, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, that means Google's value is equal to 1 year of Russia's total output.
It's pretty big time stuff though, right?
Well, I mean, the question here is who needs who? And the less Russia can present themselves of who they are, the more the media can dictate how much of a villain Russia is. It's a monopoly in building your reputation, and you can't make an argument for it. It's a very interesting, it's a very, very interesting case. If one sat with Russia's Putin, you may want to entertain asking a question about, very interesting. This is very interesting to me. It's very strategic.
Why is it so interesting to you, Pat? You seem very, very
perplexed,
in depth on this.
Good word.
Nah, it is, because if he doesn't have no wonder so many people in the U.S. It's a great move by Biden-Harris administration to be able to pin that person to be a villain, and no one has access to it to see. I mean, all right, okay, let's see. Obviously, it's going to change in the next few months, but for as long as he's got to see what he can do with this part until things change. All right, let's go to the next story here that we have. Boom, 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 boom. Let me see which one I want to go with. Okay. Gas prices dropping across the United States. National average likely to fall below $3 of gas. And why is this? So the national average of gas in the U.S. is now $3.07 with a median of $2.99, marking a 5-year drop over the past week and a 13-cent decrease over the last month, according to Gas Buddy. Diesel prices are also down now, averaging 3.54, the lowest in over 3 years. Seasonal demand declines, increased refinery utilization, and stabilized global oil price due to easing Middle East tensions driving this drop. The U.S. crude oil inventory has now grown by 5.5 million barrels. Southern states hold the lowest prices, with Texas being $2.60. Damn. California and Hawaii have the highest at $4.53. Despite current decreases, holiday travel could push prices up again, as historically observed, impacting inflation and goods costs. Tom.
Well, what's going on with gas prices is usually September, October, United States see gas prices drop a little bit. We travel everywhere. We go to Disneyland. We do all these things over the summer, and then we just get back into driving back and forth to work, and we travel for business. So there is a seasonal drop. Also, it's fall. It's not super hot. It's not super cold. So we're not drawing all the extra energy to really chill and cool our homes or heat their homes. So consequently, you have a natural demand that drops. And when demand drops, prices drop. That's what's happening. Is very, very normal. However, what's very interesting in here is whenever these prices drop under $3, you are able to more clearly see the taxes in California. $2.60 nationwide, $4.53, almost $4.60 in California. Wow. That's $2 a gallon. So that shows you, California, that you're basically paying a tax of roughly $2 a gallon in California. Also, what's also interesting is the fuel companies are now trying to do some catch up. They're trying to, as much as the administration will allow them under the green policies, is to grow supplies so they have emergency supplies to get them through things like hurricanes and super cold winters. So they've been, and guess what they've done? They have grown 5.5 million barrels of inventory. So what they're doing is they're suddenly, remember we were in Dallas, Pat, we got like 3 days notice. In 3 days, it's going to be 0 degrees for 5 days. Remember that?
Yes.
And they called it what? Ice-mageddon or whatever they called it.
That's when your pipes blew up in your second floor and the bed came on your daughter's bed and nobody was home.
Yeah, and everything caved in. Exactly right. Yeah, the fire, 160 PSI fire pipes or whatever it was, blow up in the attic and flooded the place. So, because they froze. So you get like only about 4 days notice. Well, the energy companies have to kick up production, and part of that is fuel oil, and we still use oil to power a lot of power plants. So what we have right now is we have a little bit more supply, but it also shows you, guess what? If we drill, baby, drill, and become a big oil exporter, it's low prices for America, and it's exporting a lot of oil and natural gas to the rest of the world, and that's where we're going to make money. And so that's what's going on right now. So gas prices are down, which is good. And it's good these prices are down as we're going into winter. But really what's hiding below the surface here is the energy industry has successfully fought back against a lot of green policies, and the consumers seeing some benefit. And when Trump's elected, what's his policy?
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
Interesting. Adam, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, I'm just looking at some graphs right now. The average price of a barrel of oil today is about $72. I think, because we've had conversations about oil in general, I think they want to keep ideal prices of oil around $60 to $80 in that sort of range. So we're kind of sort of par for the course of where it typically is, right? I mean, this, me, I'm Ubering everywhere. So if you asked me the price of gas today, I would have no clue right now. But the price of an average barrel of oil is somewhere between that 60 to 80 range, right, Tom, typically?
Yeah, right now it has been, as the oil industry, energy industry has fought back against some of these green policies thanks to Republicans in Congress.
I'm also wondering, after when they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, like how much of that actually affected things right now, because we're basically going into winter right now, summer, obviously traveling. Gas gets to tend to be a little bit higher in America right here, but around the world right now, Nord Stream pipeline had a significant impact on the the prices in Europe, both when it was operational and when it was damaged and shut down. Is it back up and running right now? That whole relationship with Russia and Germany, I think Trump's been very vocal about that with the Nord Stream pipeline. It's been so is that still running, Tom? After they blew that up, it's kind of like they blew it up, and then there was news like a month or two ago about what happened.
Nord Stream 2, I believe, is what they blew up. And Nord Stream 1, I thought was...
No, the Nord Stream pipelines are not repaired and are not expected to be repaired anytime soon. Unbelievable. So they just blew up that pipeline. And did they basically track that back to Zelensky? Do you remember that story, Pat?
Yeah, but this is the story that I was looking for and I found it, Tom. And I want to get your thoughts on this. So to me, this is purely market manipulation with timing. Because, again, you don't care if gas prices are high in 2021. You don't care if gas prices are high in 2022. You don't give a shit if gas prices are high in 2023. You care a lot what gas prices are in September and October of 2024. Watch this here. This is May of 2024. Biden administration releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline from reserve in bid to what?
Lower prices.
And it's working.
Because it's election season.
And it's working.
And
so go ahead, Rob.
He was running for president at that
That's
time.
right.
That was before he dropped out after the debate.
And this is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is usually set aside like a fire extinguisher for wartime.
You're not even supposed to use it. So you're not supposed to use this for election. This is for wartime. But guess what? Now, Kamala, again, their campaign is dumb enough to not use it, but their campaign needs to come up right now and use this. They need, even though they're manipulating the average person, even though, how many people are watching this right now? It's not, we don't do that at our typical 9 a.m. time. How many people we got on right now, Rob?
At least 21,395.
Okay. There's 21,395 wise, smart, sexy, good-looking, loving patriots who are willing to go above and beyond. And they're watching this, and they get to tell this story. But how about the other 341 million people that are not aware of this? If Kamala's camp uses this, they can say their policies lower gas prices more than Trump, but I'm not sure if they're using this or not. Anyways, guys, go fill up the gas tank before the prices go up. Hurry up. Fill up all your car gas on tanks until something happens suddenly here with this. All right, next one here, Tom. I want to get your thoughts on this. How the hell is Truth Social, parent company, Trump Media, now worth more than Musk's X as Election Day nears? How is that even possible, folks? But I'm going to read this story to you. Trump's Media and Technology Group, the parent company of Truth Social, is now valued at $10 billion, surpassing Elon Musk X, valued at $9.4 billion. This valuation surge attributed to TMTG's shares quadrupling since late September comes as November 5th approaches, with Truth Social stock prices rising more than 9% on Tuesday's 34.17. Trump owns 57% of TMTG, making this stake worth $4 billion. The company, however, posted losses exceeding $16 million for June quarter, generating only that can't be right, Tom. Truth Social has only generated $837 in third quarter. Manect is beating that. Despite its valuation spike, Truth Social reach remains far smaller than X, which logged 706 million visitors last month compared to Truth Social 13.5 million. Musk, a key supporter of Trump's re-election, endorsed him over the summer and has since contributed over 70 million of Trump's campaign. He's also actively campaigning, appearing at rallies, battleground states like Pennsylvania, urging voters. Tom, take this over because Musk bought this company for roughly $44 billion.
Yep.
How is it now only worth 9.4 and Truth Social 10?
Well, Truth Social, we can at least go to the stock market and we can see market caps. We can look there because they're on the stock market. The price goes up and down each day depending on news and things going on. So we know what Truth Social is worth because we can just look at the stock market. We don't have to listen to anybody. Words talk, but numbers scream, and the numbers scream out that Truth Social is worth this. However, X is owned by Musk, and it's interesting to me to figure out who is valuing them at $9.4 billion and how are they exactly being valued. Every now and then Musk will make some comments out loud, but $9.4 billion for X seems way too low. And they could say, well, X's value is down 80% because they're doing some ad calculations. A lot of times they do, like, they'll say X, the valuation is down significantly, and then you have Fidelity valuing its stake based on ad revenue. That's one way to do it. But if someone came along, it's one thing for Fidelity and others to say, this is the book value. It's another thing if somebody came along. If somebody walked up to Elon Musk right now and offered him $10 billion for Twitter, would he take it? No, he wouldn't take it. And if he said he's only taking $10 million for Twitter, you'd have 9 private equity firms running across the street waving checkbooks to get in on the auction. So it's one thing to have a book value out there. It's quite another thing to have a public value. And Musk has had issues on the ad revenue dropping, but it's all about perceptive value and book valuation versus what does it say on the stock market, and what would the value be if Musk said, I will sell X to you, the bidding starts at $10 billion. You don't think that that's going to be $20 billion in 2 seconds?
None of this. Within 10 minutes, he's got, multi 8 figures from us. Within 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get in there to help out.
You and I would call 2 people we know right now and say, 10? He says, we'll give you 11. Don't call anybody else.
No, it wouldn't. It'd be one phone call to Goldman. Go ahead.
I'm going to go kind of in a weird direction right here. By the way, none of this math makes sense. So who's Trump's biggest advocate and ally these days?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. So now a story comes out 5 days before election that Trump is worth more than Elon. I mean, nobody believes that Truth Social is bigger and more popular, has a bigger market cap than X, Twitter. It just that makes zero sense. Could it be that they're trying to drive a wedge between Elon and Trump? And basically play some games right here, Pat. I know you're not a big fan of games. It's like basically saying, hey, I mean, respect to Chris Pavlovsky, but we all know that Rumble isn't as big as YouTube. But imagine if an article came out that Rumble has surpassed YouTube. It's like, I don't know about that. It'd be like, yeah, Burger King is bigger than McDonald's. No, it's not. Pepsi's not bigger than Coke. We know that Truth Social is not as big as X. It's not even a thing. So I'm wondering what kind of games are being played here. It's almost like the people who did the math that valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million when it's probably worth a couple $100 million, maybe even $1 billion, sorry. I have no clue what's going on here, but none of this math makes sense.
Tom.
No,
you shake your head.
I agree with that. I said maybe the folks that were at the federal government that were trying to value things have left their calculator laying around, and someone has picked up that broken calculator, the political calculator, and done it. But there is no way in hell that Musk's X is valued over at 9.4.
Well, let's go to the next one here. Chinese EV maker BYD beats Tesla in quarterly revenue for the first time as net profits jumps. Okay, now we're noticing two stories like that. Okay, so what is this story all about? So BYD automaker Tesla in quarterly revenue for the first time posting 201 billion won, which is 28 billion in US dollars in Q3 compared to Tesla's 25.2. BYD's net profits rose 11.5% to 11.6 won, which is roughly 1.63 billion, driven by high sales in China, supported by government subsidies and trade-in incentives for greener cars. BYD's Q3 success was led by plug-in hybrid sales, which surged 75.6% to 685,000 units. However, its pure EV sales grew 2.7%. As a lost EV market share to other Chinese competitors, BYD accounted for over one-third of Chinese EV and plug-in hybrid sales, aided by subsidies up to $2,100 per trade and local government incentives of up to 20,000 won. Expanding overseas, BYD increases its exports by 33%, reaching 95,000 cars. Sold abroad in Q3 and revisited its total to 450,000 vehicles 2023. Tom.
So there's a couple of things going on here. In the United States, there's been a trend over the last 2 years that when people are buying new cars, EVs cost a little bit more than hybrids. And with gas moving down artificially, suddenly a hybrid electric costs less to buy, and you get a lot of the benefits of having an electric car and paying a lot less because you're not filling up the tank with gasoline every week. You're using electricity. So there's been a shift in the U.S. on that. Also, it is a fact that it's been harder to find places to charge your electric car in the United States in terms of offices and malls because we need more EV outlets, which is why our U.S. federal government was trying to build EVs and why, Secretary Pete caught a lot of hell for what he spent $2 billion and how would it have built 7 chargers or something. It was ridiculous. What was spent versus what was actually installed. And then China has been playing the long game, and BYD has been they've been several models. Now they have like 5 models that are out there, and they've been exporting a lot, and they've actually been making particular traction in Europe. So they make a little more traction in Europe on market share versus Tesla. Other Chinese automakers have been kind of competing with BYD for subsidies in China. Like the government says, hey, there's this much money for subsidies, and suddenly BYD doesn't get all of it because other competitors are with them. And so basically it's a more competitive global market. And Tesla has, had challenges in the U.S. market versus hybrids. And it makes for a nice headline to say, the Chinese beat Tesla on quarterly revenue, says Reuters, who loves to print anything negative about Elon Musk. So it may be true, but they love to pick on Musk.
Yeah. And by the way, this is happening without them even being in the States. Mm-hmm. And does BYD have anything to do with the Hafusan plant they were planning on building in Mexico, Tom?
Ooh.
So, Rob, pull up to see if BYD, Hafusan, Mexico. Mexico has risen. Mexico stalling. It is.
That's exactly right.
That's what it is. So BYD's electric vehicle expanding operation in Mexico, including the Hafusan industrial. There you go. BYD announced plans. Okay. So now you got to realize, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, President Trump, when he was here 2 weeks ago, he said they've put this on pause. Rob, can you verify it? Because this story is from July. So Mexico let's see what this one is here. Mexico's Shine Bomb, the race is on to harness nearshoring. Yeah, I'm trying to find out if this Hafusan plan is being done or it's put on halt or not. If it is, because of I think Biden was giving $7,500 tax credit, cars coming here from Mexico, and then Mexico's growing. I'm just trying to see if this Hafusan plan is put on stop, put on halt, or no.
And I thought there were some U.S. makers that also said they were putting something on hold. It was a ginormous factory. We saw pictures of it like in the hills, and it was ginormous. And they said, well...
Okay, there it is. I just found it. China. Okay, I found it. Rob. If you can pull this up. There it is. Pull the story up that I just sent to you. This story will tell you what they're doing. Very interesting. So President Trump, when he was on, and he said they're going to put it on pause until after U.S. elections is true. Watch this. China's BYD pauses Mexico factory plans until after U.S. elections. I wonder why. Mexico could be a key production site for BYD along with plants it is building or already operating in Brazil, Hungary, Turkey, Thailand. Go a little lower, Rob. China's top electric BYD will not announce a major planned investment in Mexico until after the U.S. election, according to people familiar with the matters of global. BYD was scouting 3 locations for car production facility in Mexico, but has stopped, actively looking for now. Several of the people said asking not to be identified, discussing information. This is private. Well, it's out now. Sure. The postpone is largely because BYD would prefer to wait to see the outcome of the race between U.S. President Trump and Kamala Harris. They added that BYD's pause factory may still be revived or could change. This, in other word, has not postponed. And then they said, BYD said in a statement to Bloomberg that it has not postponed a decision on a factory in Mexico. We continue working to build a factory with the highest technological standards for the Mexican market, not for the United States market, nor for the export market. For BYD, the Mexican market is very relevant. Okay, you either believe them or you don't, right? However, they know if Trump comes in, Trump's going to be making their life a living hell. But if Kamala's there, they're going to say, well, we can negotiate with her, no problem.
China also plays the long game. So they'll say, hey, listen, build the factory, only build cars for Mexico. Tell everybody it's all about the Mexican market.
Right.
Someday there'll be a U.S. president not named Trump.
That's right. Wow. That's right.
Quick thought. I mean, Pat, you really got me like acting like a Forex trader. Now we're talking about Russian rupees out here. We get the Chinese yuan, we get the Mexican peso. I'm doing all this math here, but it just tell me, Pat, if I'm going somewhere with this, how many years ago did we interview the guy, The Confessions of an Economic Hitman? What was his name again?
4 years ago.
Okay. And what's the easiest way to destroy a country? Through debt, right? So China goes all around the world, basically saddling countries with debt. I think in Africa alone, that's a couple $100 billion that countries like Zambia and Angola and Kenya owe China. Every country in Africa, for the most part, owes China all this massive amount of money because they're mining cobalt and lithium and nickel
natural
and
resource
copper,
collateral,
all this stuff for EVs. And it just, all these stories make me wonder, how accurate is this? How much is this the media going against Elon? Because we covered in the last story about, is Truth Social worth more than X? I would highly doubt that. But you said something interesting to Piers Morgan, which was a fascinating conversation yesterday. And you said, right now, Trump is the number one enemy. But if and when he gets elected, you said you prioritize J.D. Vance.
No, Musk is one.
Musk won, J.D. Vance,
Trump
then
2.
Trump.
Yep.
So it's interesting. But basically, once Trump gets elected, they're like, I'll let you summarize this. He has 4 years. JD has 8. But Elon's got another 40 years of success around the world. And he's aligned himself with Trump camp, obviously. And the interview that he did with Tucker, he sort of said, if Trump loses, like, you're effed. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. So I don't know what to make of all these stories. But I would not be shocked if the media is basically using these stories to basically bring down Elon and Trump.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think it's going to be a very clear focus they'll have going after them. But let me go to the next story here. Ex-Google CEO Schmidt urges U.S. Army to replace tanks with drones. Vinny, I'm going to come to you first with this one here. Replace tanks with drones. Why would they want to do something like that? Eric Schmidt's a pretty smart guy. So former Google CEO Eric Schmidt urges U.S. military to replace useless tanks with AI-powered drones, telling the Future Investment Initiative, give them away, buy a drone instead, citing the effectiveness of inexpensive drones. Rob, do you have the video of this or no?
No, let me see if I can find it.
Okay, if you can, that'd be great. Inexpensive drones in Ukraine, where a $5,000 drone can destroy a $5 million tank. Very good perspective. Schmidt, founder of a startup building autonomous kamikaze drones for Ukraine, argued that falling costs of autonomous technology means the drone war will get rid of eventually tanks, artillery, and mortars. Despite rapid innovation in Ukraine and Russia's drone tactics, Schmidt said Western military systems are precisely wrong for this kind of a scenario and slow to adapt. Vinny.
I mean, this is the future, isn't it, Pat? I mean, you were what was your thing? You fixed Hummers.
I fixed Hummers.
Okay,
yeah.
One of my boys was a tank mechanic, and it's like, I mean, this is the future, Pat. We see. I don't know if you guys. I know me and Rob are these people. Like on my feed on X, you just keep seeing these drone attacks going after people, pinpointing people. Rob, are they Ukrainian? I don't want to show them, but Ukrainian or Russian. And it's like that. It makes way more sense. You know, the maintenance with the tank and here and the noise and everything. These drones are basically silent until they come and they attack. If it's safe, and I hate to be saying this, but I mean, it's a way cheaper, faster, like discreet method of killing people. I think that's the future. On top of that, which you come when it comes into the soldiers, all the robots that Elon and all these guys are making, are designing. That's the future. That's that art-to-like war that that guy, the transcendent man, the people that were debating him were saying that's the future and how scary it is. I think tactic-wise, it's brilliant, but I mean, it is scary as hell that we're not going to have any tanks. We're not going to have any soldiers. It's all going to be robots.
Well, there was no tanks that rolled into Lebanon when Israel knocked off a couple commanders over the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
That was the drone went in.
You saw
and then
the
they
video
sent the reconnaissance drone in with the camera to see how the guy was doing, and he was still sitting in the chair.
Well, now that was in Gaza with Yahya Sinwar, but I see what you're saying.
But still, there's no
That's
troops on the
drones
ground.
instead of
troops and people. Yeah, because in those tanks are human beings. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's going to be less. Listen, to me, it's any less American soldiers in harm's way. But I'm anti-war.
Ultimately, I think what he's saying is the famous Wayne Gretzky coach: "Don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where it's going." He's basically saying tanks are old school, drones are new school. Start investing more in that type of technology versus sort of what you would use for traditional land wars, which they're doing in Ukraine right now. We won't get into that. But
what's the actor's name that played 300?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler played a movie protecting the president. I don't know if you guys have seen
Citizen?
this. Yeah, that's what it is. Something. Olympus Has Fallen.
Olympus Has Fallen. My bad.
So Rob, if you can pull up Olympus Has Fallen, okay, we can't show the scene.
Angel Has Fallen. Is it Olympus?
No, Olympus
Has
Has
Fallen?
Olympus Has Fallen.
Morgan Freeman.
Drone War. I think that's the one. If you go to Olympus Has Fallen, Drone War.
Morgan Freeman was in it right there?
Yeah, he is.
That's our second Morgan Freeman sighting in the
last day. Guys, there is a scene. Have you guys ever seen the scene?
No.
Well, man, I can't show it to you. But there's a scene in this movie where you look up and you see all of a sudden.
Is it like these people?
That's it. But all of a sudden you see thousands of drones coming your way. So to save the president, he had to jump underwater for everything to explode, for them to make it, and he pushes the president into the water. By the way, I'm not going to show it to the audience because it's part of the movie, but here's what it looks like, okay? They're looking up, okay? You see all these drones are coming. They notice all the drones that are coming up, and he goes with the boat to save them. Folks, if you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're there. It's literally thousands of drones coming in one by one by one by one. They kill soldiers. They kill everybody. You can't do nothing about it but jumping in the water and going under the water. And his job is to try to save the president. It was so realistic. Oh, and by the way, this is how it comes out. This is how it comes out. Look at this. It just shoots it out like a semi-auto. You see that?
Looks like a machine gun of drones.
It's so realistic. I think Schmidt is right. I think the method of fighting and going to war today is different. And if somebody really wanted to attack, what is your method of protecting drones? How are you going to protect someone if they send thousands of drones your way? What is the cost?
You got to build something like
an Iron Dome.
The Iron Dome. Like
we need some. I don't know why we don't have something like that, because that's the threat.
We have what's called the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, so we kind of have that.
Yeah, but
at least a defense mechanism.
We have a biodome.
Yeah,
what we got.
Shout out to Pauly Shores.
We don't have an Iron Dome, but we have a biodome.
The weasel.
We got some work to do, Tom. We got some work to do.
Tom, we're going to need you on this one.
All right, let me go to what time we got for 46. We got one more story, and then we'll go into the Yankees, and we'll wrap it up here. Man, we've covered a bunch of stories very quickly, by the way. Let's go to, do you wake up at 3 a.m. every night?
I do 4 times to pee, and it's ridiculous.
Do you really?
I'm dead serious.
Well, this guru reveals how to beat this issue.
Okay.
And maybe this could be a life-changing moment for you on the podcast.
I appreciate it.
Well, and then you can thank the guru, not me, but I'm just reading the story. Here we go. Dave Asprey, author and founder of Bulletproof, claims waking up between 3 to 5 a.m. is often due to a crash in your blood sugar, triggering cortisol and adrenaline that disturbs sleep. He suggests a bedtime snack of raw honey, collagen, and MCT oil, as these offer sustained energy without the blood sugar crash. Asprey explains that cortisol, known as the stress hormone, listen, I know a better stress hormone, but you got kids here, wakes up by increasing glucose, which the brain uses but leaves you awake. Chronic stress, he notes, can elevate cortisol, affecting everything from immune system to muscles to your hair, skin, and nails, while sleep deprivation heightens risks of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Nearly 70 million Americans and 40 million Brits struggle with sleep disorders. Experts caution against dependency on sleeping pills, which can be addictive, while promoting natural sleep aids like reduced screen time, cool bedrooms, and adequate magnesium and vitamin D intake. Tom, thoughts on this?
Well, I think what's really interesting here is there's a blend here, because he's talking about two things. The first thing he's talking about is chemical. Hey, you know what? You have a stress hormone and cortisol wakes you up. But then he's also talking about, being overworked, overtired, and dependency on sleeping pills when people are just so stressful. So arguing against chemical and promoting natural sleep aids, like reducing screen times, cool bedrooms, and vitamin D. A great way to get vitamin D is to do what? Take a walk. Take a walk for 40 minutes each day out in the sunshine and just collect the vitamin D. We collect it right through our face and being outside. And so there's two sides to this. One of them, it seems like it's common sense lifestyle, like blue light before going to bed. People talk about that, blue light, and then being in good physical condition and getting a walk. And the other is don't depend on chemicals like sleeping pills, but let's see if we can get the natural chemicals of something like honey. And honey has got a lot of benefits. People that have allergies, they say, look for raw harvest honey that's local.
I had that.
And have a little bit of that on toast or things, because there's pollens in there that give you a little resistance against the pollens that are in the air, because the local honey is made by local bees.
Smart.
Collecting local pollen from local flowers. So I think there's a lot of great common sense in here about getting off chemicals, having good lifestyle patterns, and raw local honey.
Vinny, this is serious stuff.
I'm being that.
But you know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
There was a famous song that went like this.
Ooh.
Sugar, honey, right? You are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. Can you?
Archie and the Gang.
Right? It's a good song.
Is that Archie? Who was it?
It was actually government propaganda for healthy living.
Man,
I listened to the song in Iran.
What song this? This must have been the 60s.
I don't know. Maybe he took this tip from the song, because the song says sugar, but he says honey, honey. So he says sugar one time, but I've honey, honey. So Dave, wherever you got your brilliant idea from, you got to stop listening to. Give the song credit for you coming up with this idea.
Everybody, I'll add one thing. I think it's sort of testament, this story, to where we're at as a country. We're more reliant on pills, jabs, Ozempic than actually getting your fat ass out of bed, working out, getting some sunlight, getting in the gym, actually putting in the work. Everyone wants to take shortcuts rather than actually going to bed, getting some sleep. It's like, just take a pill, get this going on rather than lose some weight. Bing, 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 Ozempic. Oh, Ozempic. So everyone wants to take a shortcut. We saw, I won't say any names, we saw, I showed you some pictures of people that were clearly using growth hormone or whatever that was, and how sort of dastardly they looked. If you take shortcuts, you don't think the right way. Yeah.
what's his name?
I was about to do an Adam.
Excuse me.
You mean?
Excuse me, PVD. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well,
Anyway, it's as in America, we're more obese than ever. We're fatter than ever. They exercise less than ever. We're broker than ever as a country. But just put a quick Band-Aid over it, see if it works. But go get some sleep.
Let's finish it up with this, guys. Let's talk Yankees. We're at the game yesterday. We land. Everything's looking good. Then all of a sudden, for the first time in the history of my life, I've never seen where a team has 3 errors, not counting Cole not running to the first.
Not covering.
I've never seen catcher interference, and I've never seen balk, all in the same game. And you still could have won. You lose 7-6. They announced Freeman as the MVP, well-deserved, the only guy in the history of baseball ever to hit a home run in 6 straight World Series games. Never happened before. Crazy. Stanton hit 18, which now he's number 3 in the home run list, right, I believe, all time, right, with what he did. While we were there, something very interesting happened. I'm going to show this clip here of this guy. We're going to buy something for Dylan, and we're shopping. This man comes up, and it was so wild. I'll let him tell you the story on what he told us. None of us could believe it. It was such an authentic, genuine man that we met. Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
He wrote that because he thought you were in. I swear to God.
We're in the suites.
I said I was.
Watch this.
Wow. I said I would meet you today. That is wild. I manifested it to happen. That is insane. Look at, I even put it on your Instagram. I'm not going to lie. Are you kidding me? I swear, look at I still home run, game 5. I will meet PBD, World Series Game 5. Huh?
Wow.
And look
How
at the
crazy
date on
is
it.
this?
Unbelievable.
This is all
and it worked.
This is all my camera work, guys. Definitely not anybody else.
And the nicest guy, by the way. You love
What
this
are the odds
guy.
of
He
that?
saw you guys. He's like, oh my God, Vinny. Oh my God, Tom. Oh my God.
What's up,
Look at this right there.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
It was great.
So he couldn't get a shirt fast enough, so he just made
He made his own
by himself that said "Future
American ingenuity, baby.
Exactly.
Entrepreneurship.
And he goes, I knew I was going to meet you today, and I did that. And
Crazy. And by the way, you know what's even crazier? Let me tell you guys what's even crazier. Remember the sweepstakes we did with the Yankees, taking all that stuff that we announced, with the whole sweepstakes that we announced? So check this out. You know, Tom, our CTO, and Ben, they get on a call, and they do the whole sweepstake for every dollar spent to see who the winner is to go join us for the big game, right? Now watch this. We're thinking the winner is going to be somebody that's bought $1,000. And they bought from us many, many times. This is the craziest story
this is awesome.
of who ended up winning it. When they called me and told me, I'm like, when we called him, he kept saying, get there. He couldn't even believe what's going on, but I'll let him tell you the story. He's a Phillies fan. But for tonight, for that night, he was a Yankees fan. Go ahead, Rob.
So I'm here with our new friend, Matt, right? And he's the winner of the Valuetainment Sweepstakes. Matt, come here. Let's get inside here. Matt, give me the rundown of how you won and ended up here with us at the World Series.
Well, every Tuesday and Thursday in my office while I'm working, I have Home Team on the computer. Last Tuesday, BBD comes out with the sweepstakes. I figure I need some new gear. I come on gear, I buy a Valuetainment hat and a t-shirt as well. Next thing you know, I'm entering this sweepstakes. I get a text on Saturday. Now I'm at Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
$2,500 spending cash. And the best suite you can have in Yankee Stadium for the World Series Game 5.
And who's here? BBD. BBD, just say hi real quick.
Yo.
Matt is the winner right here.
That's right.
I love it.
He says he bought a hat.
He bought a hat and a t-shirt.
That's crazy.
Game 5 of the World Series now.
That
Unbelievable.
is crazy.
Talk about an ROI. I think this guy ended up getting a hat and a shirt for like $60. And he ends up going to the World Series. I think we were to be a part of it. I don't know how much people were paying. Something.
No. Oh, the tickets.
Yeah,
no.
tickets.
Tickets are going for a
tens
lot
of
money.
thousands of dollars, right? Here he is joining us. Awesome guy. Went to Syracuse, played linebacker. Rob, I think he grew up like right around you and
about 40 minutes away.
South Jersey. We just hell of a guy. And he's like, I can't believe that I just bought this. Here I am at the World Series.
He kept saying, get that. He was golfing. Get that fatty. Get that. You're joking. No. Oh my God. This one. Boom. And
not like a guy like from Philly would talk like that. Right?
Guess what? Listen, And more, while we're walking around, we're seeing people wearing FLB gear, Future Looks Bright gear, the vitamin gear. It's phenomenal to see all this stuff taking place. But Tom, it's really about you.
Oh, man.
Because we're watching Tom, and Tom is in the back. By the way, just so you guys know, we flew here on a PJ. Tom came in a Greyhound. He left right after the game. Hasn't had any sleep. The Greyhound had a very strong engine, so it was kind of flying.
No bathroom.
How does it feel, Tom, knowing you're in a suite where by the way, you found two Dodger fans, and I don't know how close you guys found each other. You're in a suite, everyone's Yankees, and at the end, you see your Dodgers win the World Series. How did it feel?
It felt really, really wonderful. You know, you only get one or two times.
That's enough. That's enough time.
All right, Tom, back to the Yankees.
No. In your life, you maybe get. A typical sports fan, you have one or two times in your life where maybe your team makes it to the, World Series or the Super Bowl, unless you're like a Patriot fan or a Yankee fan or a Dodger fan. And I was just very, very blessed. And I thank it. And I want to say something. There's a lot of stuff that goes on after sports championships are won. But I was wearing this jacket. This is a 1981 satin jacket back from the era of Fernando Valenzuela. God rest his soul. And we were walking in and walking out. And you know what? Nothing but respect for those Yankee fans, and I gave them respect in return. A great team, a young team, but people can say what they will about New York, but we had a great experience at Yankee Stadium. From the people that worked there to the other fans that were there, I was kind of expecting, okay, am I going to get spit on? Zero.
I actually did on the back of his jacket, but he didn't see it.
Well, no, he's saying aside from us.
Oh, no, okay, my bad.
Right.
Go ahead,
No,
Tom, I'm sorry.
except you. But
I love you.
That's all I can say. It felt really good. But thank you to New York. Thank you to the Yankee fans. And congratulations to Yankee fans making it all the way to World Series and coming back. I feel like the Yankees are coming back to the era of greatness that they enjoyed, back in from 2000 to 2009. I believe that.
Vinny, as a New Yorker, and being there, how painful was it? And how do you feel about the comments he's making? Is the sentiments landing and soothing, or no, you're not buying it?
Well, first I'll address that one first. Remember that Christmas present I was going to get it?
Yeah.
It just downgraded like a mofo.
Seriously.
It's not what... Tom, I love you to death.
I'm not surprised.
But you're going to get 99-cent store type of dollar store type treatment. Anyway, but I'm just messing around. No, it was...
So you're cutting it half, so I only get half a lump of coal.
Yeah, you're getting half of that. But no, I mean, just being in the Bronx, right next to the Yonkers where, I was born and where I'm from. My family was messaging me like, we're all the way in the left field. I go, guys, it's
so
too much.
I'm an elitist.
I
I'm
can't.
a box guy. Sorry.
No, well, I didn't say that, but it's like, it's so... To get to the other side, like it was insanity. It felt good. But I'm not going to lie, a disappointment from just, what was it, Tom? 8 errors just in the World Series in general. Kind of like they just didn't have it. It's disappointing when your team gets all the way to the dance. I mean, mind you, regular season, amazing, records being broken, everything. But then when you get to the dance, you fail in that fashion. It's heartbreaking. I mean, the team looks good, but I mean, there has to be some changes for the future because you can't come that far, Tom, and go in the slumps, have errors, the manager making bad decisions. It's like, come on, we invest all this time and all this money and we're investing in the team, and then it comes in and we fall flat. Not because it was, okay, one run, and okay, I could deal with that. But when it's a horrible loss like that because all around not playing well and not managing well, it hurts even more because we had it. We should have won game 1 and we should have won game 2. And some of the decisions of taking out Garrett Cole and then dropping balls, and then I love Cole to death, but then a play where he's supposed to cover first, he just points at Rizzo like as if he was going to summon him to go to first. It's really, really disappointing. So,
Pat, I think it would be a good idea to maybe show your Instagram post with how you felt about Tom. I don't know if that's possible at this point.
Listen, you're Rob. You can go to my Instagram, and then I think there's something the guys want to do. If you go to my Instagram page, Tom was hospitalized afterwards.
Yeah, it was not good.
I probably shouldn't have said that. My lawyers probably said
I needed therapy while I was on that Greyhound bus.
I punched him in his face. Look how red his face is.
That's a real picture, by the way.
That's real. Like you're putting him in a sleeper hole.
No. Critics will say this is fake. It's just staged. But look at Tom. His face is red. He can't breathe.
He can't breathe. Look at his team is winning in the back.
Yeah, and look at the veins. Your veins on your neck
I have
popping.
5 veins.
Yeah. But look, it is what it is. By the way, 4 years ago, I was at the Dodger game when they won, okay, in Texas.
Oh, COVID.
And Mookie went 4 for 5. And it was the best.
He's sick.
And we rooted for Dodgers in that game. There's only one team I'm going to root for Dodgers over, and that is the Yankees. And that's for many different reasons, but we're excited about where the Yankees are going next. Rob, whoever you got that they want to do what they want to do, because I got to go upstairs to a meeting and I got to do a shoot, then I got to try to go find it way to go trick-or-treating with the kids.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Well, this
Happy
is something-
Halloween, everybody.
We had today is the 500th episode of the PBD podcast.
Oh, yes, it is.
And some of the previous guests on the podcast wanted to congratulate you on the achievement
really?
and the milestone.
Okay, let's hear it.
News. Patrick Bet David. 500 episodes.
Congratulations to Patrick Bet David, who has done his 500th show and is one of the only three-syllable names in popular culture who is not a presidential assassin.
Congratulations on 500 episodes. Big deal. 500 episodes. Here's to 500,000 more.
Special shout out to Patrick Bet David and the PBD podcast.
Handsome.
Happy 500th episode, bro. God bless.
I see that on
Shout out to Patrick Bet David and the PBD podcast at Valuetainment. And congratulations on reaching episode 500.
Congratulations, Pat, on episode 500, man. Future looks bright.
Congratulations, Pat, on your episode 500. Your work, your service will change America.
Hey, Pat, congrats on your 500.
Yeah, brother.
Proud to
Hell
call you
yeah.
a
Put a shirt on, Doug.
Real
We got your back,
because
Pat.
you support the First Amendment and you let people say what they want to say.
Congratulations, Pat.
My man.
I'm proud of you, being a wealthy independent and taking your show to another level. I see you in the top 10, so I'm hoping that you're going to still call me. I feel like me giving you this cosign makes you pretty cool. So congratulations.
You're the man,
Put you up, Alec.
It all started when Pat planted a little tiny seed. It started growing and growing. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 500 freaking episodes in right now. It's still growing. It will keep on growing, my friend. What an achievement. Congratulations to you, your team, everybody involved, of course. Because as you know, it's all teamwork.
My man. Let me put it to you that way. Okay, 500 episodes, right?
Dude, I love
very
the
good
hairdo.
number of episodes, okay? But what I want to see you do, all right? Listen, take it this way. If you take that and double it by 100%, you're going to have 1,000 episodes, 1,000 episodes, more than 500 episodes. That's going to be a good number for you, okay? My man, the reason, by the way, wait for that. The reason that this guy is in the bathroom, okay?
He's good, buddy.
Is because I had bad chicken. So I'd rather be doing the celebration with you, but I can't have bad chicken, salmonella, so you add it up. So I'm going to times it by 2, multiply it, use some probiotics, and I'm probably going to feel better, double your value.
Congratulations on the 500th episode. I think I had the best one with you.
He did. He ain't lying.
2 million views. The future looks bright. And by the way, that problem you had, I took care of that.
You and the home team, you've done great work. I am not impressed by the quantity. 500, you're going to do 1,000x of that number. It's the quality. You have true convictions, you got true beliefs, and you are a great listener. I wish you every success. I'm happy for how far you've come like a rocket, and I know it's just the beginning. Congratulations to PBD and the home team.
You're the man, Chris.
Love you, Cuomo.
That was
Love you,
great.
Cuomo. Great job to our editing team and whoever set that up. Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Happy
guys are
Halloween.
all to all the people, everybody that sent a message. It's so awesome just seeing these guys. A lot of them are going to be with us on election night next week. By the way, Chris is probably going to be tuning in as well through Zoom or something. We're going to be doing with that when he comes in. But to Kelly in the back, you look great. Marilyn Monroe.
Kelly looks great.
Natalia. We have Alejandra. Humberto. Can't forget about you. Wait a minute. Ruby's the best.
Jeremy. Yeah, she's the
Now I
break
got to
dancer
tell
girl.
you, she's the best with the break dancer. Yes.
Ruby Tuesday.
Anyways,
Jake back there. Malik's back there. Who else is
for
back
everybody,
there?
for everybody, for everybody listening to us, this started with a small idea of wanting to have a platform that I can talk about politics and current events.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to mix it up with Valuetainment. Valuetainment was mainly a business channel. And all of a sudden, Valuetainment just a year and a half ago was at 4 million subscribers. That's 6 million subscribers. PBD Podcast went from 50 subscribers just 4 years ago to now 2.2, 2.1, whatever the number is, million subscribers. And we're doing this because of you that's watching this, still with us. For those of you guys that are watching, this wouldn't happen without you. I love running into you. I love talking to you. I feel like we have a relationship here together and sitting down talking to these guys. If you guys were on the plane and you would have seen how we were singing, I didn't want to do it here, but I think I have to kind of tell you guys that You know how I told you I don't want to show you this picture because it looks a little awkward, but I'll show you here soon. We may be coming out with a music band.
Boys band.
And here's what the boys band's called. It's called Out of Sync.
Yes.
And not in sync, out of sync. And when you listen to us singing on the way to the Yankees, we had a great time. This wouldn't happen without the crew here. And we're just getting warmed up. Future looks bright. And hopefully you'll stay with us for decades and decades and decades to come. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.